Data analytics, everyone's talking about it, but what exactly is it? Perhaps you've heard that data analytics is the next big thing for business and want to find more about what the field involves. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of what data analytics is, so let's dive into step number 1. Perhaps you're thinking about becoming a data analyst and want to know exactly what a career in the field involves. Most companies are collecting loads of data all the time, but in its raw form, this data doesn't actually mean anything. This is where data analytics comes in. Data analytics is the process of analyzing raw data so that we can pull out insights which are useful to companies. These insights are super important to drive smart business decisions. What a data analyst does is they take all this complex jigsaw of data, they take it out and they make it into something which you can really use. Having interpreted the data analyst can then pass these insights on so that the company can then make the most informed decisions. So you can think of data analytics as a kind of business intelligence used to solve problems and challenges that every company has. It's all about finding patterns in the data which can tell you something useful or relevant about the business operations. So for instance, how customers engage with a particular product or employees engage with a particular tool. Armed with the insights of data, companies are then able to make better decisions about their audience, company as a whole, and the industry in which they work in. Step 1, we looked at what data analytics actually is. In step 2, we're going to look at how data analytics is used. So what does data analytics actually look like in action, and how is it used in the real world? So the fact is, data is everywhere. So it actually has an infinite amount of uses across all kinds of businesses and organizations globally. Broadly speaking, data analytics is used to make faster and better business decisions, to reduce overall business costs, and to develop new and innovative products and services. In more specific terms, data analytics might be used to do the following: to predict future sales or purchasing behaviors, for security purposes, to help and protect against fraud, to analyze the effectiveness of marketing campaigns, to boost customer acquisition and retention, or to increase supply chain efficiency. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of what data analytics can be used for in the real world. Step 3, let's dive into what a data analyst actually does on a day-to-day basis. If you're thinking about becoming a data analyst, you're probably interested in the roles and responsibilities that you'll have in the field. Based on some real job ads, here are some typical roles and responsibilities that you'll have to undertake as a data analyst. Manage the delivery of user satisfaction surveys and report on results using data visualization software. Work with business line owners to develop requirements, define success metrics, manage and execute analytical projects, and evaluate results. Monitor practices, processes, and systems to identify opportunities for improvement. Translate important questions into concrete analytical tasks. Gather new data to answer client questions, collating and organizing data from multiple sources. Design, build, test, and maintain back-end code. Establish data processes, define data quality criteria, and implement data quality processes. Work as part of a team to evaluate and analyze key data that will be used to shape future business strategies. So those are just some examples of what a data analyst will be doing in any given role. To learn more about the kinds of things that you'll be undertaking as a data analyst, why not search on job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, and iCrunchData.com. So that was step 3. It was just a broad overview of what you can expect to be doing as a data analyst. So now we've looked at data analytics as a role, we're now going to go into the process of data analysis. So now we're going to outline the 5 main steps a data analyst would take when approaching a new project. Step 1, define the questions that you want to answer. You need to answer why you're conducting this analysis and what questions and answers you need to find. At this stage, you'll take a clearly defined problem and then you'll make a hypothesis or research question that you can go on and answer. You'll then need to identify what types of data you need, but importantly, where it will come from. For instance, a business problem might be that customers aren't subscribing to a paid membership once that free trial ends. Your key question can then be, what kind of strategies can the business implement to retain their customer base? Step 2 would be to collect this data. With a clear question in mind, you're ready to start collecting that data. Data analysts will usually gather data from primary sources or internal data that the company already has, such as CRM software or email marketing tools. They may turn to secondary or external sources such as open data sources. So this can include data.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Freeberg, and in today's video we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about what a data analyst actually does in their job day to day. We're also going to be walking through qualifications, skills, and the salary that you can expect as a data analyst. So let's start with the job description, and I'm going to take you through each part of what a data analyst actually does in their job. And the very first part of that is defining the problem. The first thing that you have to do is determine what the client actually needs. Do they need a dashboard? Do they need reports? Do they need you to do some type of analysis on their product and give some type of recommendation? And when you get that, you have to create a plan of action. When are you getting this data? Where is it coming from? Where are you putting the data? And what are the time frame for all of these steps? And often it can be your job to communicate that to the team. The next thing that you want to do is collect the data. And data can come from a ton of different sources. So whether that's a SQL backup, a flat file, or an API, or if they have all of those, you have to be able to get all that data into one place. Then you need to work with your programmers to create an ETL process, which means extract, transform, and load. So you're going to work with your programmer to actually get the data, and then you're going to create business rules to transform it for how you actually want it to look in your system, and then you actually have to load the data. This can also be known as creating an ETL pipeline. If you have data that's going to be coming in either weekly or monthly, you don't want to have to do this process manually every single time. And so creating a pipeline is going to be creating an automated process to bring that data in the same way every single time. And that's going to save you a lot of time every single time that you bring that data into your system. And the very last thing is aggregating your data, which basically just means standardizing your data and putting it all together instead of having it as separate sources. And the next thing that you'll do as a data analyst is actually clean the data. And data is always messy. Trust me, I have seen just about everything that you can imagine. They're using 3 different date formats, some people's names are capitalized for absolutely no reason, and somebody forgot to add the customer ID so you can't actually map the patient in your system. And you do all of this because you want to make the data a lot more usable for later processes. And part of this is normalizing and standardizing the data so that when you do your visualizations or your reports later, all the data looks the same and it can be used in any part that you need it to be used in. And the last part of this is data validation, which is basically just quality assurance, and you're looking through your data and running queries on your data to make sure that your data looks how it's supposed to look. The next thing that you need to do is set up your data for reports and visualizations, and oftentimes you do this through creating views. A view allows you to combine several tables into one and then choose a subset of that data that you actually want to use for your reports and visualizations. And each view may need to be formatted differently based on what you're going to be using it for in the report or the visualization. And for the very last thing, you're actually going to create your reports and your visualizations. I know for myself, I use SQL for all my reports, so I like to automate that process so that if a client wants it every week or every month, I can just create a stored procedure or a job that automatically sends that out with the latest data every single week or month. You can also connect that data to a data visualization tool like Tableau, Power BI, Python, or R. And lastly, you just want to make sure that your report or visualization solves a problem that you intended for it to solve. So that goes back to the very first thing that we looked at, which is what does the client want, what do they need? And so this step just makes sure that that is actually resolved. Next, let's look at some of the qualifications for a data analyst. Oftentimes you are going to need a bachelor's. I haven't seen a lot of jobs where they have not required a bachelor's degree. So oftentimes that's the minimum requirement for you. And often they want those degrees to be in something like computer science, statistics, mathematics, finance, or something like that. A master's degree may be required for some positions. It doesn't happen often, but I have seen some data analyst positions that do require a master's. I don't think you need a bachelor's degree in order to become a data analyst, but I think it definitely helps, especially when a lot of jobs require a minimum of a bachelor's. Next, let's look at some of the skills that data analysts actually use. The first one is SQL, then we have R and Python, Tableau, Power BI, which are our data visualization tools, SAS or SPSS, Excel, and then some type of cloud platform like AWS or Azure. Now let's look at salary, and for an entry-level job you can expect $45,000 to $60,000, a mid-level from $65,000 to $80,000, and then for a senior level position anywhere from $85,000 to